Welcome everyone to Summit tonight for our meeting on the 24th of September 2013, our regular board meeting. We convened at 5:30 and went to executive session, and we're now back in the public part of our meeting, and we'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. At this time, we're going to have a moment of silence, and then we're going to have our Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, just for information, Ms. Spencer she was here at the executive session, but she was not feeling well and is going home ill. So just wanted to let you know that she was here earlier, but couldn't stay. On our item number 4, approval of our agenda, do I have a motion to approve our current agenda?
So moved. Second.
Anderson? Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Unanimously. Item 5 is our consent agenda, which includes 7 items for approval. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Anderson, Ms. Brill. Thank you. Okay, is there any discussion on any of the items at this time? Hearing none, let's vote. At this time, we're going to have our special recognition part of our agenda. It's always a special time. I want to turn it over to Andrew.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Ham, and executive staff. My name is Andy Barbone, and I welcome you to Summit Parkway as its principal. Summit Parkway is a school where we're smart, we're humble, and where we learn like champions today. I hope you enjoyed our String Explosion Orchestra students as you came in. Tonight, I'd love to highlight our 2 magnet programs. Their actual card magnets are your gift tonight on your table. First, I'd like to share a video of a real-time learning experience our Get Fit students recently had. We had our mock first aid day, and here's what it looked like. Thank you very much. Our second video focuses on our new STEM magnet, nicknamed CITY, the STEM Institute of Design and Innovation. And here's what that looks like. quick note from our STEM lead teacher, Ms. Dia Jones, who I'll ask up just to say a brief comment.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to publicly say thank you. The dedication and commitment that you have shared by giving the resources and the support that you have for our new program are show clear abundantly that you have given our school so much with our students and our community and our faculty. So you give us more than we could ask for, and we appreciate it. And so I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you again, and welcome to Summit Parkway this evening.
Thank you. Next, Dr. Ham, who's on board next? Ashley?
Ashley will be presenting our Teachers of the Year.
Is this the Teacher of the Year part?
It is first we'll recognize some of our colleagues, and then we'll continue with the Teacher of the Year recognition.
Okay.
To continue with our special recognition, I'd like to first invite Kara Luke, Spring Valley High School art teacher, to receive a certificate. The South Carolina Art Education Association has named Spring Valley High School art teacher Kara Luke the 2013 South Carolina Secondary Art Educator of the Year. Next, we'd like to recognize Blackwood High School Principal Keith Price. Mr. Price has been selected to receive the 2013-14 South Carolina Art Educators Association Outstanding Secondary Principal Award. Mr. Price will be recognized in October at the association's annual conference for his consistently demonstrating his support and commitment philosophically and financially to his school's art programs. Finally, this evening, we'd like to recognize Bobby Cunningham. W.R. Rogers Adult Continuing and Technology Center Principal Bobby Cunningham was awarded the Adult Education Rookie of the Year Award for 2013. He received this for his outstanding leadership and dedication to adult education from the Adult Education Directors Division of the South Carolina Association of School Administrators. Finally, this evening, we'd like to take a moment and recognize our 2013-14 Teachers of the Year. If it's possible, I'd like for the board members, I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson, to please come and shake hands with the teachers as they come down. They should come this way. They'll receive a plaque that they can hang outside their door, and if they'll pause for a picture, that'd be great. They're going to come this way, hopefully. To begin, we'd like to recognize Bethel Hanbury Elementary's Carol Ann Gareth Fallon. Next, we'd like to recognize Bookman Road Elementary's Sean LaFay. Please take a moment to welcome Catawba Trail Elementary's Heather Lindsay. Condor Elementary School's Michelle Evans. And from Forest Lake Elementary, Mr. Kevin Durden. Lottie Halsendorf is representing Keels Elementary School. And of course, Miss Wanda Price from Killian Elementary School. Olivia Schultz is representing Lake Carolina Elementary School. Samantha Butler from Langford Elementary School. Sharon Fleming from Lonnie B. Nelson Elementary School. And queued up is Miss Christine Harding from North Springs Elementary School. Grayson Livingston from Polo Road Elementary. Karen Taylor from Pontiac Elementary. Mr. Tyler Abernathy from Blythewood Middle School. Wesley Hips from Dent Middle School. Kelly Mill Middle's Julie Jones. And of course, Longleaf Middle's Marion Kelly. Representing Muller Road Middle School, Michelle Ortiz. I know we're all excited to welcome Leslie Jeffcoat from Summit Parkway Middle School. And E.L. Wright Middle's Kimberly Danner. From Richland Northeast High School, Sierra Machado. Ridgeview High School's Janice Rice Kakathy. Ready. Westwood High School's Janelle Butler. While Ms. Butler receives her award, we'll switch to our Honor Roll Teachers of the Year from Bridge Creek Elementary School, Lindsay Belleville. Round Top Elementary School's Heather Hyde. Sandlapper Elementary School's Brooke Scott. And Windsor Elementary's Melanie Brown. Finally, this evening, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our 2013-2014 District Teacher of the Year from Blythewood High School, Patrick Kelly.
Thank all the teachers of the year from each school. I want to thank the committee that chose this. I know I've been on that committee. It's hard work, especially when you have all the talents you just saw come before you today. Now is our time for public participation, and we do have some people who have signed up tonight. We ask you that when you come up, you introduce yourself, either give your address or give your neighborhood, wherever you want, whatever, just sort of identify from where you live. And in the district, we ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes and keep them as professional, and as concise as you can. I have a list here, and I'm going to just go down the list I have here. Okay, Ed Gacky. Okay, you got me. I tell you then. Thank you. Come on forward.
Good evening. I'm here because we're talking about Lake Carolina zoning tonight and the redistricting or possibly splitting the two schools. I know we basically built a new elementary school on top of Lake Carolina, just a few hundred feet away from it. So that's a concern for us that we're going to rezone a lot of different neighborhoods. Some people are talking about possibly rezoning some of the neighborhoods inside of Lake Carolina, the smaller neighborhoods, cutting up streets so that neighborhoods are no longer going to the same schools. And there are a lot of people that are concerned about this. So hopefully we can come up with a plan and hopefully consider the split school system with the lower elementary and the upper elementary school. To me, that makes a lot of sense. Plus, in the future, it looks like that you won't have to rezone so often if you have that larger zoning district. So you just do this once, and we can figure out all the logistics. People are very concerned, but there's got to be a way to work through some of the logistical problems with having two split schools. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Next, Connie Black.
Hello, my name is Connie Black, and I also am here about the elementary school 19 rezoning. I have two children that currently attend Lake Carolina Elementary, and I'm also on the current board, PTO board, and I would just like to express my opinion that I think the two schools should be split to grade configuration status, because I think otherwise there's going to be traffic issues and safety issues and everyone trying to get to two schools at one time at the same time. If you guys could perhaps make, if you have primary 1 and primary 2, make it so that you start at different times. That'll help alleviate traffic, because we have a huge traffic nightmare right now because everyone walks to school. We don't really use school buses. The other side of Lake Carolina does. And I'm also concerned about the property values of my house. If my children go to one school and across the street someone else goes to to the other school, I'm very concerned that my property values are going to go down as a result of that. I would like everyone in our community to at least have the same opportunity to go to one, maybe giant school, and then split it up between two. And I'm also concerned about rezoning in the future. If you split up the lines now and go in neighborhoods, through the neighborhoods instead of just split down the middle, then when the apartments come in 2 years or 3 years, then you're going to rezone again, and you're going to rezone again, and you're going to rezone again. So I just wanted to express my opinion, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Karen Braggs.
Good evening. My name is Karen Braggs, and my address is 7825 Bay Springs Road and I'm zoned for Richland Northeast High School. My concern that I'm bringing before the board today is about the lunch. They have 30 minutes for lunch, and it has been several days that my son has not eaten because he doesn't have time to eat, and when he does get time to eat, he's normally late for class. He's in the 9th grade, and he has never had any detention, any discipline problems, and because of the lunch problem, he's had 9 hours that he's had to make up after school, and I'm not good with that. So I don't know why they have just one lunch hour. Maybe it can be done in 2, or something needs to be worked out, because some days I have to bring him lunch, and when I can't bring him lunch, if he doesn't have time and concerned about getting in trouble because he hadn't eaten, then he's going all day without eating. He runs cross country, and right after school they're tutoring, and then they have to practice or they have games. Can't have my child not going all day without eating. So I think that that's something that needs to be addressed. That's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mahir Shaw.
Good evening. I'm Mahir Shah. I'm a parent in Lake Carolina. I have one son in Lake Carolina and another son that I hope to send to Lake Carolina soon. I'm also here to talk about the Elementary 19 rezoning options. I know you've heard two speakers already speak on topic. I just want to just say that we've lived in the neighborhood for 8 years now. It's not a new neighborhood anymore. There's a sense of neighborhood cohesion, and I would really request that the board consider continuing that cohesion in any plan. I understand there are challenges with a fast-growing area, and I appreciate that. But I would really prefer, from my perspective, that the schools be split up from K through 2 and 3 to 5 through Elementary 19. And I understand there are logistical issues with that, and hopefully we can work that out. But that's my perspective. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dr. Robert Morris.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let me congratulate the honorees. And let me say to you, board members, you're doing an awesome job, and I just hope that you continue to do that. I come to you, I reside at 15 Burgee Court in the Peninsula. I am a board of director of the Peninsula at Lake Carolina. We bought our homes because of the schools in Lake Carolina. And we would hope that our children will continue to go to schools in Lake Carolina. Whatever plan you decide would be fine, whether it's the pre-K through 2 and the 3 through 5 for the new school, that would be fine. But under no circumstance we would tolerate our children being redistricted. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Anyone else at this time? We have a few minutes. Seeing no hands, I'm going to move right along. All right, we are at time of our voting on our executive session items. I believe there was only one matter that we would vote on, and that's the student appeals. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we, on the only student appeal we have tonight, refer that child for interview with Blackwood Academy.
Second.
Second by Ms. Elkins Johnson. Any discussion at this time on this motion? Hearing none, we are ready to vote.
Who is that?
No, ma'am.
I mean, I know they can't say anything. I just don't know who said it.
She wants to know, raise your hand who asked that. No, not at this time. You had your chance in public. Ms. Chisholm will talk with you. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote.
Oh, I voted already.
I didn't vote. Did I?
I voted. I voted.
I got to vote.
I voted.
Okay, here, there you go. Okay.
Vote again.
Good.
It's democracy, often, really and often, right? Okay. Thank you, unanimous vote, appreciate it. I believe that concludes our executive session items to vote on. The old business action requested, item 9.1, approval of revisions to policy JLD BB, self-esteem promotion, our suicide prevention policy. Dr. Marshall's not here. Is there any questions about this policy? We had it last time, and we made a few. There's been a few revisions. Yes.
I recommend approval.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Second.
Second by Ms. Anderson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much. Our next item is 10, is old business, and there's no action requested. Update on our innovation incubator. Dr. Ham?
Yes, sir. Early on, we talked to you about the fact that we were beginning to put together a group of people to look into an innovation incubator. They're now ready to make a report to you. A lot has been said about the need for change and innovation in education, but as we approached the issue, we wanted to make sure that we were very intentional and rigorous in our approach, and there's been a committee working on that. So Tom Cranmer and Donna Toiber will be making a report on the plans for the innovation incubator.
Thank you, Dr. Ham. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we are pleased tonight to bring you a brief update on a project that IT and academics have been working on. It's called R2 Innovates, and just to give you an overview of what that is, it is an effort that incorporates the strategies and practices of innovation. It's of innovative thinking and finding new and better ways to do things through innovation that have the potential to positively influence student learning. Our project's main focus is to create an incubator, if you will, that would be a starting point for advancing innovation. It will be an environment for nurturing good ideas, an environment for creating opportunities for furthering and developing ideas, and to test innovations that are promising. In general, the innovation incubator is an intentional, as Dr. Ham said, guided process to find those who are motivated to seek out teachers and others who have innovative ideas and solutions that fit with what the district is doing and who want to advance their ideas. We want to create the opportunities, create the time, the whiteboard, if you will, and the room where people can get together and have the opportunity to think about change and innovation. And we want to identify ability. We know that there are lots of abilities in Richland too, and it's a matter of seeking out those abilities and ideas that can bring about improvement. We have a history of innovation in the district. Just quickly and briefly, the Classroom of the Future, going back to the year 2000, and the E-School at Ridgeview High School were our first implementations of one-to-one computing, which was really an innovative thought that led to a lot of other projects in the district. The iTech classrooms was an outgrowth of one-to-one computing that helped grow gradually and incrementally one-to-one computing. Lots of innovation in magnet schools, school choice, and projects that are not only technology-based, but certain kinds of innovations that took place in professional development. Some of the other efforts, even growing further with the one-to-one and further from iTech classrooms, was a professional development and research and development project called IPAC that whose aim was to create personalized, authentic, and collaborative learning and find new ways to reach higher levels of integration of teaching and learning with technology. A lot of that was project-based learning. That was part of those efforts, which finally set the stage and really got us positioned as a district to move into the one-to-one computing environment. We had a great group of people who were certainly innovative in their thinking about implementing that project, and you as an innovative school board for the leadership in that project was some levels of success that were really under the overall umbrella of starting small and going to scale. So starting small, getting it right, and growing it, that's kind of been the mantra moving forward. As part of that evolution in innovation, we've seen a shift in focus over time. When technology was first jump-started to be reinvented in the late 1990s, there were so many discussions about, equipment, infrastructure. How do we make things work? How do we get to connectivity? How do we make this machine talk to that machine? Not too long after that, we saw a very rapid growing sophistication of that integration with learning to conversations of integration, resources, and ideas. Kind of a shift from how do I to what if and why not, okay? And so that really gets us to where we are today, to this idea of transformative thinking. How do we transform the teaching and learning experience so that it's positioned for the modern, globally attached economy, the global competitiveness of students, and 21st century skills? There's really, what are the motivating factors here? Why would you want to innovate? And I really think of the district has got their eye on, if you will, three major areas. One is the work that's being led with the implementation of a Common Core. Lots of opportunities for innovation there. And I guess moving along the continuum of technology integration and certain key milestones, namely the one-to-one computing project that gets us to a point where we need innovation. We need to further learning in the classroom because we've reached a place with technology, one-to-one computing, new standards coming in that can really benefit from innovation. And lastly, as part of that, the newly announced or newly promoted State Department of Education waivers that may give the district greater flexibility and customization of instructional programs, so that's going to be one to keep our eye on as well. At this point, I would like to ask Mrs. Donna Teuber to give us an overview of what innovation would look like.
We were very excited to be able to pull together a group of teachers, administrators, district personnel in late spring to really start talking about what it would look like in Richland to have an innovation incubator. So we pulled together a group just to think about it and to do some research. And at the end of the day, after a lot of research and talking, we decided that what we're really looking for are ideas that can scale and that impact our student outcomes in the areas of student learning, character, community, and joy, those 4 areas that we're focusing on this year. But definitely with the learner at the center, always keeping the learner as the focus, and giving our teachers a chance to think about things that they could do that would be innovative and help move us forward with student learning. We did pull that group together, and we had a little brainstorming session after they were able to do some research, and they came up with lots of ideas about what innovation looks like. So there have been a lot of conversations with people, talking to other members of the community, talking with others around the country about what are you doing in your educational organization that is innovative. So what we've done so far is definitely research what an innovation incubator is, or an innovation accelerator. So we have talked to lots of people, done a lot of research, made a lot of connections, because innovation is about making connections with the right people who have the ability to support you in your innovations. NOTOSH is an organization that works with the United Nations on innovative efforts. We've talked with them about how they can help us and work with us. The Buck Institute does a lot with project-based learning, and we've made some connections there with different members of our school community. Imagine K-12 is a startup for educational software developers, and they have contributed some information to us about how they got started and what kind of application process they have. We've talked with Google, Rajan Sheth, who leads the Enterprise Division has given us some great ideas about how they run their business with giving the 20% time and really supporting people who have innovative ideas. We've also had folks who have been talking with the Stanford D School about the ways that they are moving forward, and the IDEO is another organization that we've looked at. So we have done our research. We have put together as a small group just an application process that we would like to launch as soon as possible, which would include an opportunity for teachers and other educators or classified personnel, anyone in our district really who has a great idea and they feel that they have a way to make that happen, but they need some support. Have you ever had a great idea and you thought, man, that's a great idea? We do that a lot, I think. And a lot of times we put that idea aside because we're not sure that we have the support that we need. So having these teachers or other folks in the district fill out this application, perhaps create a video to tell us what their idea is, and then going through an interview process in the fall and some training with those teachers to find out, is your idea something that we can make happen in Richland too? And it doesn't have to be something that involves a lot of financial support. It could actually just be making connections, connecting teachers with mentors or with other teams of teachers who have a great idea to put into place. And then after they're able to fully develop that idea, to have them make a pitch so that we can actually work with those individuals or those teams of teachers or students to make their idea come into fruition. So our next steps would be to have an application that would be launched soon and due later in the month to provide professional development for those innovators who have the ideas but aren't quite sure of all the types of things that they need to make it happen, to find some community partners, and we have already connected with a lot of those partners, and then support those innovators in our district to make those ideas happen. So that's the basis of what we would like to do next.
That's a brief overview. Be happy to answer any questions you might have at this time.
Who was the innovator who came up with the innovator? I'm sure it was a group effort, I'm sure. But this is something we need. We need the think tank in District 2, or something like a think tank. This will be as close as I think we can get. Never wrong to have good ideas. So, any questions for Tom?
No, Mr. Chairman, not a question but a comment. I think a very strong component of this needs to be an evaluation component to be sure that in coming up with the wonderful ideas and implementing them, that there's some objective way to measure their effectiveness, their utility. And it's not just anecdotal. It feels good, a group of people enjoyed doing it, and it was a wonderful project, but there's no real objective, measurable way to determine its effectiveness and its utility. And I didn't see or hear that mentioned, and that needs to be a very prominent part of the effort going forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Any other comments?
I'd just like to say I agree with Mr. Jackson, and hopefully we can get that before you start your process.
Good.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Also got a comment. I want to say thank you for the work that y'all are doing here. Obviously, we talk about going to the next level and new ideas, and we see lots of companies reaching out across the organization to find new ideas that people have and give means for that. This is obviously similar in that tone. And when you think of Richland 2 and innovation, and particularly with IT, where we've gone, I use a system called SpiceWorks, which is an inventory and help desk management system. I got an email this morning, and the guy that works for me, he sent this to me and said, Richland 2 made SpiceWorks this morning. Well, Google is reaching out and doing a webinar on the work that we've done here in Richland 2 with the Chromebook. And so what we're doing here has far-reaching implications beyond our district. And so you guys are to be applauded for the work that you're doing and the partnerships that you're building, and the summit that we do, all of these things that just show that we're far and above many folks in this area. So thank you for your work, and keep up the good works, good deeds.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. Other comments? Thank you very much. Appreciate your report. Very good. Okay, this time we're going to go to item 11, which is the certification of our delegates to our delegate assembly, South Carolina School Board Association Assembly delegates, which will meet the first weekend of December. Now remember, we can have, everybody can be a delegate or everybody can be an alternate, but you got to be on the list to go. We've made some mistakes in the past, so let's make sure that anybody who wants to be there, we want to make sure they're on our list. And don't hear nominations for, are the people who would like to be delegates, first of all.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a report on early childhood programs. It was part of the old
Oh,
business
I'm sorry.
agenda. But you may want to move ahead with this quickly, and we can go back with it. But I just did want to let you know
Yeah, let's go with that. I'm sorry, I saw y'all snickering down there. I didn't know y'all were laughing at me. Thank you. Let's do this now, and then we'll go back. Is there anyone that...
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Ms. Elkins.
Okay, Ms. Elkins. Anyone else want to be a... Now, who's going? Because you're going to have to be... If she can't go, we got to have alternates. I'll put my name on as an alternate.
I'll gladly accept. I'll be there.
I don't mind being a primary, but I can't nominate myself.
I nominate James Manning.
James Manning. Why do you... Ms. Elkins wouldn't nominate you.
I don't know, Mr. Chairman. I think I've been a primary for the last 2 years. This will be number 3. I've been on the board for 3 years, so I'll keep up my duty to the district.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
Be represented.
No, I'll be alternate.
Alternate, Mr.
Yes,
Jackson, alternate. Anybody? Okay, so that's.
And I'll overlook everybody. Okay, oversee everybody.
You want to be?
No.
Okay, you want to
You
be an
have
alternate?
enough alternates.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I guess if you just put everybody down and it's an alternate, so if the worst case scenario,
Gotta
the
be on
district
there.
is covered. So
Exactly.
you can go ahead and do that.
I learned the hard way on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the two
All of us
delegates
are
will be
alternates, and the 2 of them are delegates, right?
Mr. Manning, Ms. Elkins Johnson, and the rest of us will be alternates.
I was going to say the rest of the board.
The rest, well, I won't speak for Ms. Patrick. She's not here. So, okay. If it's 2,
Yeah, we have 9 votes for Richland, too.
we got 9 votes. I'm going to take an executive since Mr. Manning's the older member, a longer term. He's got the 5. I'll split it up. Okay. Good. I'm not messing up your computer by voting on this, right? I can go back. I didn't think so. Okay, get ready to vote. Okay,
Mr. Manning made the motion.
No, you make he nominated. Why don't you make the motion?
Oh, I will make the motion that Mr. Manning and Mrs. Johnson are delegates representing District 2. Manning with 5 votes, Johnson with 4 votes, and the other remaining board members, with the exception of Ms. Spector, will be alternates.
Second.
We do know that the air condition is working fine in this building. Great.
Okay, you can vote now. Thank you. Unanimous vote. We'll go back now to the item which I summary dismissed. No, I didn't. 10.2, early childhood, a report on early childhood programs. Dr. Ham.
Mr. Chairman, I was just thinking about it. I have been here for a long time, and I think from the time that I first came to this school district, our preschool programs had a reputation as being the ones that you went to look at, that they were really the best of the best. And that tradition of really excellent, exemplary preschool programs has continued. And I think they all fitted Anna Boyd at one point in time. Of course, now we've got them throughout the entire school district. But we're fortunate to have a long history of really outstanding preschool programs. So tonight, David Foster, Debbie Brady, and Sabina Masso-Taylor are here to let you know about our programs.
Come forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, Dr. Ham, and executive staff. With the implementation of the Common Core state standards as a major district focus and an urgency in helping our students successfully function as 21st century learners, we know that all students need to be proficient in 3 areas: communication, reacting to real-world problems as critical thinkers and problem solvers, and above all, to collaborate with their colleagues within a demanding workplace. To begin this daunting task, we need to look no further than the Richland 2 Child Development Programs. With the help of Dr. Sabina Massa-Taylor, lead teacher at Spears Creek Child Development Center, and Ms. Debbie Brady, lead teacher at the Clemson Road Child Development Center, we'd like to take you on a brief tour of the programs and share the status of the work accomplished throughout the district. Before Sabina and Debbie begin, I'd like to showcase some past results of the 2005-2006 cohort of students who were 3 and 4 years old at that time. I have those results for you beside you, so it was a little bit closer than the slide presentation, but they're identical. And let's take a look at their performance over the last 3 years on the PASS ELA and the math assessments. This first slide, which are the first 2 charts that you have, demonstrates the 2011 ELA PASS results and the 2011 math results. Grade 3 would be the 3-year-old group in 2005. Grade 4 would be the 4-year-old group from 2005. And these test results are from 2011. If you look carefully at, and I think, yes, great, it works. The Clemson Road results and the Spears Church Creek results for met or higher, and below that comes the Richland 2 average, the Richland 2% percentage for met or higher. The next page demonstrates the 2012 PASS data for both groups and the math data. And the third set on your back page will represent the 2013 ELA PASS and math. I think, although we don't have time to examine them carefully right now, an overall perception of those results is this: children's participation in either one of the child development programs significantly impacts their ability to meet or exceed the expectations from the PASS assessment. Let me continue with our presentation. With our combined students representing wealth and significant support for learning to extreme economic and academic poverty, participation in the Richland 2 Child Development Program clearly provides an advantage for all students. Our remaining presentation will highlight the experiences that contribute to the first steps of this incredible educational journey in which our students participate. Dr. Masso-Taylor and Mrs. Debbie Brady.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. And like Mr. Foster said, we're here to talk a little bit about how child development aligns with Dr. Ham's 4 squares. And those squares are learning, character, community, and joy. And I'd like to begin to talk about the learning. Of course, child development is where the Richland School District 2 story begins. It is where we ignite, inspire, and inquire. Children learn by exploring, experimenting, problem solving, working with others. And it is a minds-on, hands-on experience. Teachers are supporting the student learning by creating these learning and sustaining the learning environments that are full of language and literacy-rich experiences. Spears Creek Child Development operates with 2 curricular models. They are the Montessori curriculum and the creative curriculum. 5 classrooms are the Montessori curriculum and 8 are the creative curriculum. There are some significant differences within the 2 models, and I'd like to point those out for you today. The Montessori curriculum operates through a lottery-based system, whereas the creative curriculum is a first-come, first-serve system, and we take applications. Right now we have applications for 2016, 2017. Both models are multi-age classrooms. The Montessori curriculum has 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and kindergartners in the same classroom. And then the creative curriculum has 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds in the same classroom. The Montessori utilizes specific Montessori materials that are designed to teach specific lessons, whereas the creative curriculum utilizes common child development materials. There are 100 students on our Montessori campus, and there are 160 students in our outlying classrooms that are housed in 8 elementary schools.
To continue with the makeup of our programs in child development in the district, Clemson Road Child Development Center has 20 classrooms spread throughout the district. Our applications are made January through March, and our acceptances are based on 3 criteria. Students may qualify for the program based on poverty, developmental readiness, and risk factors such as a single-parent household. Then all of our students are age 4 with the exception of Keels. This year we got permission from the State Department of Education for a pilot program, and we've included 3-year-olds in our 3 classrooms at Keels. This was done to boost the readiness skills of that particular population by giving them 2 years of child development. Yeah, and then altogether we have 105 students at Clemson Road campus and 255 students in 8 elementary schools. We also have 13 parent educators that serve each classroom. They also serve 2 schools that don't have classrooms, and we have 1 parent educator who works with the Teens as Parents program in all 5 high schools. Thanks. So, total students served between our 2 programs, 615 children are in child development in Richland School District 2. And what do they learn? Sabina's 8 classrooms use creative curriculum, and all 20 of ours use creative curriculum. If you look at this picture, it tells you right up front. Creative curriculum is based on exploration and discovery as a way of learning. We also use the South Carolina... It's all right. We also use the South Carolina Early Learning Standards. Common Core does not begin with pre-K, and so we use the South Carolina Early Learning Standards. If you enter a classroom in either of our centers, it will look like play. As children are in their interest areas, they are thinking, and I think you see evidence of that in the photos. They're thinking, they're communicating. The picture on the top right is Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men. So they're communicating with each other. They're also working together collaboratively to solve problems and to create. And they're learning to use their bodies in new and purposeful ways. They're learning how to make sense out of the world and how to make sense out of each other. As they make sense of each other, they learn pro-social skills. At Clemson Road, we're proud to use conscious discipline as our social emotional curriculum. It's based on a balance of structure and nurture that helps children feel safe and connected. And if you feel safe and connected, you're better able to learn. And that's exactly what we try to provide. Conscious discipline builds community. It builds community within the classroom so that children are taught pro-social skills of how to interact with each other. They're also taught self-regulation techniques. The little girl on the right is in what we call the safe place, and every classroom has a safe place. Children are taught to be a star. That means stop, take a deep breath, and relax. And very often, I need to be a star too in my daily dealings, and it is an incredibly useful tool. It is wonderful to see a 4-year-old do just that. Stop, take a deep breath, and relax, and then negotiate the problem, make some sense out of what's going on, and work cooperatively with another child.
Likewise, Spears Creek Road doesn't use the conscious discipline, but we have a curriculum called Peacemaking for Children that builds and develops character, problem solving, and living and working in a community. Which brings us to the third square, community. Spears Creek Child Development has had a long-standing partnership with the University of South Carolina. The university has professors coming out and teaching on our campus. The university students work one-on-one with our Spears Creek Child Development students, and this is a picture of a student working with our Spears Creek Child Development student. We've also extended professional development to several daycare and child development programs in our Richland 2 district area, in particular the Methodist Preschool in Blythewood, Trinity Methodist, and then the Living Springs Lutheran Preschool in Columbia. Most recently, Spears Creek has partnered with the Columbia Jewish Day School in Richland 1, and we started our first ever parent book study, and we're studying, the parents are reading Einstein's Never Used Flashcards and the importance of play. Additionally, Spears Creek donated the Dial 3 kits that we no longer used to the Columbia Jewish Day School for their assessment when we went to the Dial 4, so it was put to good use. And then I have presented at Verizon's Lunch and Learn on child development topics, and teachers, staff, and students all participate in numerous service learning activities and projects.
At Clemson Road, we're fortunate to have the services of parent educators. Parent educators are available for each and every family enrolled in the Clemson Road program. Through parent education, parents are encouraged to participate in their child's education. They receive workshops and personal visits to help increase their involvement in their child's education. We also have partnerships with the Richland County Public Library. Many of our parent educators conduct workshops there. And also we have a reciprocal arrangement to receive their services as well. We also have a partnership with Richland County First Steps. We've done some training together. They visited on our campus at the Clemson Road location. And our lead parent educator, Deborah DePauli, is on their board, this Richland County First Steps board. We also partner with area school districts. We give priority to children who've been previously accepted in the CDEP programs, for example, in some of the impoverished areas. We give priority to those students if they were to move into our district. So we have a close working relationship with other school districts who have a program that's similar to ours. This is one I had to brag about because if you'll notice the lady on the left, she's Debbie Ham. We have a wonderful partnership, a relationship with the Rotary Club of Forest Acres. Debbie started this program a few years back, and it's a really special one. And members of the Rotary Club come out once a month to read to the students on Clemson Road campus, but they do more than read. They leave a hardback book with every child who has a birthday during that month, and that's for that child's personal library. And to have a good quality hardback book that goes home with you, that has a nice inscription in it presented to on your birthday, is a very special thing. So Debbie was just out last week and had the children in the palm of her hands, as you can see. She had a rapt audience, and we thank you for that.
And finally, joy.
We want to share our joy, the joy that we experience every day. We want to make sure that you get a little bit of that joy tonight before you leave. So,
if you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you.
Looks funny. It does.
If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. toss it and you turn it and you just can't fall asleep. I'll sing the song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of. We are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me now. 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you. Like 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll never let go, never say goodbye. You know you can count on me now. 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you. Like 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. You can count on me 'cause I can count on you.
Thank you.
Come now with us.
Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. There may be some questions.
Questions?
David, and thanks for your report tonight. And you're right. If you get that joy every day, then y'all are ready to go, aren't you? Every day. Sure. Any questions at this point?
Mr. Chairman, let me echo what you said. Thank you very much for the report and the information. It's very encouraging to see how well overall throughout the district our students are doing, particularly those who start in our programs. A couple of things that sort of caught my eye. Can you help me out on here a little bit? Even though we're doing really well, I was looking at your 2011 grade 4 performance at Clemson Road in math, and we had about 86% of the students, make sure I'm reading this right, David, 86% of the students met or higher achieved the standard.
Yes, sir.
And then in Clemson Road 2012, it dropped down to 63%. Am I reading that correctly? For the same category in math?
Okay. For grade 4?
For grade 4, 2011 math, 86.5 met. Grade 4, 2012 math, 63%. Am I reading that correctly?
Two different groups of kids.
Okay, explain that
Because
to me.
4th in 2011 becomes 5th in 2012.
Okay, I guess I'm asking about the performance of the grade levels, not the kids. The kids in 4th grade in one year, and the kids in 4th grade 4 the next year, coming from the same school.
Coming from the same school, but a different group of kids.
Gotcha.
So the makeup of that class may be different. It may be kids who had a greater need from one year to the next.
I'm sure that's probably true at any grade level taken past. I'm not arguing that point. My question is that cohort dropped significantly in 2012. That's really my point. And I'm just making sure that someone is noticing that, and then we look at why that may have happened and what the strategies are to make sure next year's cohort doesn't follow that pattern.
Exactly. That is exactly why we're looking at these test scores and using that to do just that. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. The other thing I noticed we have the 2011 grade 3 pass performance in both ELA and math.
Yes, sir.
But we don't have grade 3 in 2012 in pass, ELA or math.
Because that grade 3 from 2011 is now 4th grade in 2012. And if you're on the next page, they will be the 5th grade.
Again, I'm not following them as a cohort, David. I'm asking about the performance of kids in grade 3 in 2012.
And then again in 2013 for grade 3.
Right.
I did not present information that way.
I'm
I
just
could
wondering how the
certainly do that.
programs are performing for kids in that grade level, not following the cohort of kids.
Gotcha.
And I don't have that data, and I guess that's what I'm asking.
Correct. We can pull that data for you. I have no problem doing that at all. We can get that.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying, ma'am.
Okay.
I do.
Have we evaluated our Head Start programs in our community in terms of their participants once they come into our system and determine how they fare using your logic, following them as a cohort? Kids that did not start in either Clemson Road or Spears Creek started through Head Start, then enrolled. How are they performing in District 2 once they get to grade 3 and 4 on the same pass examinations? Kids that we did not have the opportunity at that lower level to affect their academic skill sets.
To my knowledge, we've never done an evaluation of Head Start kids.
That would be good to know how they're doing, because I think that may have some play in terms of maybe that dip. I don't know, but it'd be good to look at that. I know the state does that, but I'd like for us to be able to look at how kids whom we're not serving, who come to us from Head Start, how are they performing once they have to take the state assessment in grade 3. I think that gives us additional leverage to, in addition to the wonderful services we're providing to Trinity and some of the others you mentioned, reaching out to Head Start as well and not leaving them out.
It's an excellent point, Mr. Jackson, because as I looked at this, I wondered, and I'd like to sort of see where these students were when we got them compared to where they are in grade 3 and 4. Do we have that data?
Okay. And Ms. Anderson, would you say that one more time so that I understand what it is?
You gave us grade 3, 4.
Correct.
Okay. Where were they at 1 and 2?
Okay. We don't have an assessment for them.
I guess what I'm asking is sort of piggybacking on what Mr. Jackson was saying. How can we measure where those students were when they first came into the district and to where they are by the time? And it doesn't have to be by a pass test, but there should be some accountability.
We do. We have a dial assessment that we can do.
That we could look at to see. Because I know we're doing a wonderful job in District 2, but I would just like to see where they were.
Ms. Anderson, maybe to your point, I think we do map testing, correct? First, second?
No.
Second.
No.
Second. Okay. But we do that second, third. That might be some additional data that would be useful. And Mr. Jackson, I seem to remember that you may have asked for this data before on the tracking students. I seem to remember that maybe a question a couple of years ago.
Yeah. The influx of students coming in that are not enrolled in our programs and how they're performing.
Okay. Other questions?
That's all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I have a question, just how you get your data. Just say the 4th grade, you have a Clemson Road across the board, just say met or higher. Now these students, you've kept up with them from the time they were your students. Is that right, Debbie? I mean, how do you get this number? So you have kept up with these kids as they progress through grades. Is that correct?
Right, and Jeff Potts, I think, is the person that we would look to as to exactly statistically how he manages the data.
But those are your students. I mean, that's how you. Yes. Those are their numbers here.
Yes.
Okay. Same thing, Spears Creek. So you know these kids. You've known them since they were 4 years old, and I think it goes more than anything else to show that the kids that stay with us from 4 years old, they do better. And I mean, it's sort of hard to compare the rest of everybody. The 30 to 40% of our students who are tested in the 4th or 5th grade who have never been with us maybe more than 1 year or 2 years. I mean, have you taken those cohorts out? How do you do that?
We did, and I've met with Jeff today and talked with him about that. The starting cohort of 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, by the time they were at 5th and 6th grade, they were less than half of them had left the district. So we did keep more than half. Actually, it was almost 3/4.
But they have been in the district.
They have been in the district.
That's the point I'm making. I mean, I know we're going to lose them, I know, but they are the same kids. See, but we know what they do. So the point is that they've been with us, and I think they do well. I mean, no matter if you took any kid that wasn't a child, I'm just taking, any child we have from the kindergarten through the 5th grade, will do better, I think, than the probably normal population. But it's impressive. I really enjoyed this report tonight. Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, we're getting there. Report on family intervention 12-1 services. Dr. Ham,
Yeah, Dr. Karen Cooper-Haber took our Family Intervention Services Program international this summer when she made a presentation about that program in England. And so she's going to give you an update on the program tonight and tell you a little bit about her international experience.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting us to come back tonight. We haven't been here for about 3.5 years, I think, so hopefully this will be an opportunity for us to bring the board up to date a little bit about what we've added to our services and some of the outcomes we've had, as well as some of the opportunities. I'm going to try to just quickly talk a little bit about our services throughout, but some of the outcomes we've had, some of the outreach we've done, and some of the opportunities that have come our way that I think have been very, very helpful and important, and we're very proud of them. The first service that I want to talk about, I don't even know if I have a clicker. Do I have a clicker? Okay. Oh, Lord. Where's Carla? Come on, Carla. This is not something I do very well, so I have to get my technology person to come here and change those things for me. It's okay. Joe's going to do it? Okay, thank you, Joe. I thought so. All right, so the main strategy that we use, and I think how we, kind of our signature and how we maybe fit in a little differently to the full learning support mental health service team in the district, is that we focus on services to families. So most of what we do is about engaging families in the process of helping their students to be successful in school. Our primary services include family counseling and our multifamily group program, which is Building Bridges to Success. The Building Bridges to Success is a program that we have developed. We started with the Family Solutions program. As you know, we bought that program initially, but now a few years ago, when we were asked to provide that service to all of the students and families at our alternative schools, we felt like we needed a shorter program. That program was 10 weeks, and it's hard to get students and families through a 10-week program in 45 days. And so we put together a group of district people, and we worked on a committee to develop our own curriculum, which is what we call that Building Bridges to Success, which we now have in an elementary version, a secondary version, and a Spanish version. So that program, so the data that you see at the top, the first bit of the numbers, the 699 families, those are the number of families that went through the Family Solutions program. In 2009-10 is when we piloted the Building Bridges program. We were also still doing Family Solutions, but after that year we just did Building Bridges, and so far as of the end of last year we had another 578 families that had been served by that program. The other chart that I have there is, because I think it's important, is the number of Latino students and families that we've seen in intervention services. We kept track we have seen them in the past, but we always use translators. But over the last 2 years, we've had bilingual therapists on our staff. So last year, we saw, can see the chart there for the numbers of families that we saw, students, parents, siblings, and others, relatives, aunts, uncles, friends. And then this past year, that number, of course, went up. We do have, thanks to the district and the board, we have on our staff a bilingual family therapist. That's Carla Prasino. She also has a technology gift, and so she helps me with that. The next piece of this is what is a part of our Building Bridges curriculum. It was also a big component in the multifamily group is the community service piece. So that is one requirement that our students have. They go out into the community and provide service as a part of that program. We have also selected students out of that program over the years who have demonstrated leadership skills and motivation and have been working on their issues, and we feel like they have leadership qualities. We take those students and we identify them, and then we train them, and then they provide a sort of a mentoring role model kind of behavior for a purpose for all of our students to follow who are mandated to participate in this program. The last 3 summers we've run a summer camp as part of the program that we do. So we do run now for the last few years, 12 months a year. We go year round, which we didn't do in the first few years. But now we have a demand for our services to families all summer, so we stagger staff and we provide that. And we've had the summer camp for the last 3 summers. They did the left-hand pictures, the students at Camp Gravett. They were there for 3 days doing leadership training, and then the next week they served as counselors out at Camp Discovery with a number of our younger children, members of the families that we were working with. So the last little column is the number of hours of service that our students have put in the community. We go out 2 Saturdays every month and provide service to the community. The next slide is what we did in 2010-11. We were noticing that when students, while they were at the alternative schools, they improved their behavior, they were more successful, they did well, the families got through our services, participated in some family-based program, and then the students would go back to their home school and often get back into trouble and go back to the alternative schools. So we sort of sat down and said, what can we do about this? Is there something we can provide to keep these students from dropping through the cracks? So with the help of a doctoral student from the university who Stephanie Burgess at that time directed to us, and one of our school counselors, Vicki Kelchner, and myself, we developed this program for students to pilot at Richland Northeast because it's next to where we are, and that's also where Vicki was housed. And so we've been doing that for the last 3 years at Richland Northeast, and that's a weekly group that the students that come back participate in. And it has some academic piece to it. It's kind of a skills building, study skills, test taking kind of piece. And then they go into a weekly, what we call an empowerment group, which they sort of determine the agenda, and our facilitators work with them the whole year. Each of those students is also assigned a mentor, either a graduate student or a volunteer. And you can see a little bit about that data at the bottom. I think that what's really impressive about that, and unfortunately we don't have the number of graduate students and staff to provide that at every high school, but I think that what is really important is that when we started, you can look and see that for example, I think Richland Northeast was had the most students going back to the alternative school, and now it's the second to the least of all of the students of the schools, high schools, for students going back to the alternative school. You can see this. That's not mandatory; it's voluntary. When we've run it and we've looked at that data, the students that have participated have been successful, have not gone back to the alternative school. Those who have chosen not to participate have gone back. So about 100% on both sides, which I think is pretty good statistics for that. So we're looking at that. That's meeting some kind of need. They're not perfect, but they're staying in school. Okay? Okay. The next slide, this is just an overall outcome slide, and I know you've had that in your packet. So that starts when we started Family Intervention Services in 2005-06. It's just myself that year, and so and 1 or 2 graduate students, and then we've built that over the years. And so you can see kind of how we've gone. There's one column is how many students are referred to us. The other column is how many students and families actually come to us, and then the little red column is how many students of the students we see are actually expelled from school. So we've served about 4,000 students since 2005-06, and we have less than 4% of those students who have been expelled from our district. So we have a lot of other data too, but I think that's kind of the bottom line. So, and then we started keeping the data on parents and siblings around 4 years ago, and because we felt like that was important, especially siblings. Now we know we want the parents on board, and we know we want them involved in the services, but the siblings who come to those sessions, we haven't really tracked that because it's just more data than we can manage, but I think it's important to think at least, and maybe to look at some point, are these students getting in trouble down the line after they've participated in the services with their identified problem child and the family? So that's something for us to look at, I think. The reason it goes up and down like that, it is determined by the number of trainees we have. Because our staff has been fairly stable for the last 4 or 5 years, but our trainees change each year. So the more we have trainees, the more we have people we can see. We can. Okay. So that's that. We'll go to the next one. I think this is also important to look at. When we started in 2005-06, all referrals were disciplinary, and they were from the four high schools. So the students who came, they came either from a third suspension at a high school or from the hearing board. Around 2008-09, we started getting requests to see other kinds of students with other mental health concerns, other kinds of problems, and those families. Maybe the family was going through some sort of crisis or transition, or whoever was working maybe with the student out in the schools felt like that was important for this family to be involved. So we started seeing these other kinds of referrals, and that has grown and grown and grown to last year. An interesting thing happened. 50% of our referrals were disciplinary, and 50% of our referrals were mental health referrals. So I think that's important to note, especially with the attention and the concern about school safety and mental health needs. I think that we're just one more service that the district provides to meet those needs. The only difference between us and maybe some of the other service providers is that we work predominantly with the family and through the family. Okay, so, and then the next piece of that is another service that we decided, a program we developed in 2011-12. What we were seeing then is some of the students that we were working with, maybe at the alternative schools or whatever, they were kind of not really taking advantage of college and career opportunities that the district provided, like fairs and, counseling and some of the other things. They just weren't there when it was done, or they weren't motivated or whatever. So we felt like we wanted to provide an alternative college and career program for them. And we especially wanted to provide it for our Spanish-speaking families, because they can't participate in those other programs. They don't understand what's being said. So we started with a series of Saturday seminars in the first year. You can say we only had 73 participants, and that included students and parents, and then we had about 6 speakers. And then this past year, we decided to run a one-day large conference. So we ran one for our Latino families, and we had 274 people show up for that on a Saturday at the district auditorium. We had about 8 speakers. We had a number of vendors. We then ran that program again for non-Spanish speaking families. We didn't have as many participants. There were mostly alternative school students and parents, but we didn't let a student come without a parent. So that was what we wanted to have them there. And we had a number. That time we had 20 vendors from the community talking about their services, providing information. So it was not just on colleges and careers and work opportunities, but on other kinds of options that students might have. Might be I think somebody from adult ed was there, and a lot of different alternative programs. So we've been asked to repeat that, so we're going to do that. It's a difficult program to put on, but it's just one day, so we think we can do it. I think that also what was important with that program, as with most of the things we do, is we couldn't do it without the partnerships that we have with the community. That program, the Lexington One partners with us, the South Carolina Commission on Minority Affairs partnered with us. So we had a lot of donations and volunteers for those programs, but the primary partnership that we have that really results in services to our students and families are the partnerships with the training programs, the academic institutions, and the graduate training programs. And those are just some of the schools that send us their students for training and supervision and placement in our district. And so those students come, they're either, go out in the schools or work as a school counselor intern, or they're a marriage and family intern, or a clinical counseling intern, or mental health counseling intern. So a lot of them are working with our families in the evenings, but they also go out into the schools and see students and work with teachers and other people that are involved in a particular issue, a child with particular issues that we feel needs some sort of advocacy or intervention in the schools. So we try to be a presence in the schools. We try to make sure the schools know who we are and that we are a resource to them. So, and I'm very proud. My staff is very good about doing that and going out. And I have a few. We work at night, so not everybody's able to be here tonight. But I do want to. Carla Brasino is our bilingual family therapist. Danielle Allen was my first hire, and she's still here. Thank goodness. She runs our Building Bridges program as well as this year. She said, "Let me tackle data." I'm like, "Have at it." So I hope it doesn't run her off, but because it's a big job. But so let's see. Okay, so with the training program. So next slide shows the hours that our trainees have provided to our students and our families. And these people, all these hours have been under the supervision of myself or other members of my staff, but there again, those hours fluctuate depending on the number of trainees we have. We didn't have a whole lot last year. This year we actually have, right now, this year with us, 28 trainees, and we'll have more next semester because we have some coming next semester that we don't have now. Alex Carigi is one of our interns. Where's that? Okay, Alex, and she was able to come with us tonight. Her day job is as a psychologist at DJJ, and her night job was with us about 15 hours a week, and we really appreciate that. So she's an awesome addition to our trainees, and we appreciate all of what she does as well as all of the rest of them do. One of the things that we try hard to do, because we know that this district has a model that's unique and that it's not done a lot of places. So they don't have family therapists working in the schools. So we've tried to put that information out there so that other schools know about it and maybe would be able to replicate it in some way. And there has been a lot of interest in what we do. We've had visitors from last week or so. We had Spartanburg 1 and 2 came and spent time with us with a whole team of people. We've had visitors from Lexington 1, Lexington 5, Orangeburg. We've had a number of people call and make inquiries by phone. We have presented at the conferences that I've listed up there, a few of the ones that we presented at or will be presenting at. And so we try to take this message when we go out to conferences and to other kinds of appearances. Also, this past May, I was a guest of the National Dropout Prevention Center, and they do monthly radio webcast, and you could go on there, you can Google them, and you can see the webcast from May. But that was a really good opportunity for us to talk at in a national audience about what we do in Richland too. The last thing that I have here is about the publication, and this is going to kind of lead into how I got to Oxford, which was an awesome experience. Dr. Sanchez was my boss when she was in the district. She retired, and now she volunteers for us. So she comes in and sees families one night a week, and then she kind of keeps the fire under me all the time, just like she always did. She got to write about this, you got to write about this, you got to write about this. And so I'm like, if you'll help me with the data piece, and help me organize it, we'll do it. So we did write an article, and we submitted it to an international journal, and it was accepted for publication. It will be published in the fall issue of that journal. From that submission, the people that edit that journal are always looking at that journal and other journals to see who is writing and what is being written about school-based family counseling. And then that's where the invitations to the Oxford Symposium come from. So because we submitted that article, they knew about what we do in Richland too, and invited us to attend the Oxford Symposium, which is an annual event. It's international. So I didn't know that I was going to go. I kind of decided at the last minute because everybody said, go, go, go. You might never get invited again. I'm like, you're probably right. I might not. So I went, and it was outstanding. I mean, first of all, Oxford is a place that is just awesome. It is wonderfully beautiful, and the people there represented about 9 countries. There were only 20 people on that panel, that symposium panel. I was very nervous about it. I was glad they told me to present the middle of the week on Wednesday, but by Wednesday I wasn't nervous anymore because I knew that what we were doing here was better than what any of them were doing at any other place. And so I had all this confidence. I don't know if it was deserved, but I had a lot more confidence about that because most of the folks were researchers, academicians, people who are teaching, not necessarily people in the trenches practicing what we do. And so I think what we brought to that was something kind of different, and that they appreciated that. So that has also gotten us some other kinds of invitations. Some of the folks from there, like Macau University, wants to Skype their classes into our program and talk to us. So these are things that make coming to work every day even more exciting. And but it wouldn't be happening. None of this would be happening if we didn't have the district and the school board support of these services, and we truly appreciate it. Any questions?
Okay. Get us good. Let's have some questions from the board members.
Mr. Chair, just a couple quick comments. One, I recently attended a session from a group called the Talented 10th, and we talked about, there were some discussions there offline with some other county council members and some other school board members from the local area, and we talked about what happens with students when they get expelled, and there was kind of this idea that when they're up for expulsion that, we're putting students behind at a disadvantage, and I tell you, it's a great comfort and such an amazing thing to be able to tell people that it's actually beneficial for many of these students. I've seen them come back from our alternative program after having been through the family services component. I've seen them come up and talk to the board. I've seen them one-on-one. Every year you have your little reception, and the parents just tell me, I have my family back. And it's just amazing to think what deep meaning that is, what you're doing for our students. And it is quite a unique program. I got the opportunity to also be there for some of the Spartanburg folks that came in to visit. And there really is an interest. And I don't think people realize how much of your curriculum you guys have developed above and beyond anything that's out there. This is a very proprietary program that you've put tons of work into and that your staff has done. I talked to you earlier in the year, and I've presented this I think the board's already seen some numbers on this, and Dr. Miley, I sent you an email. I would like to see if we couldn't help you with some additional staff and maybe some resources that you need to continue your program in the way that's in the best interest of the district. I think that number was somewhere shy of $160,000. I don't know what kind of financial magic we can work, whether it's now or in the near future, but if we can find those funds, I would like to see if we as a board could have the opportunity to potentially support you in the program that you do because of what it means to our families and our students.
Well, you have supported us, and we're very appreciative of that, and of course we're appreciative of any more support, so hopefully that will happen. The more we have, the more we can see. But we're just about outgrown our portables. So, any other questions?
Go ahead, Ms.
I was really impressed with your presentation, and I know the work that you do is fantastic. I just wish you could touch more lives and more children. I'm also really fabulous about what you've done at Richland Northeast, and those students not repeating the same problems, and how can we help you bring that into our other high schools? What do you need to do that?
Well, we developed the curriculum, so we have a curriculum for that program, and we can make that curriculum available to any other school, who might want to provide that program. We can certainly put at least a person to help at each school. We don't have enough people to put a whole team. We have about 6 people that work with that project at Richland Northeast, so it's staff and about 6 of our trainees and a couple of volunteers that do that. So that takes a lot of manpower. So another school would have to really believe that that was going to be a good service for their students and be willing to put some of their staff towards providing that, maybe counselors, social workers, I don't know, just whatever, but even teachers, if, planning periods or whatever, I mean, there are a lot of ways to do it. We can certainly train people, we can certainly make the curriculum available, just like we have offered to make our Building Bridges curriculum available to other school districts. We just haven't decided whether we're going to charge them or not. We don't know how to work that exactly. We have to talk to our new finance person about that. So I don't know if that's a money-making thing or not. Maybe we can get another staff member by selling our program. I don't know, but we can certainly provide leadership and guidance for that, and some assistance. But a school would have to embrace that and want to provide it for their own students. We do have someone going to each. I do have an intern or an extern in every high school who does meet with some of the students that come back from the alternative schools at that high school, but they don't run the whole group program. They just meet with them. So,
Mr. Chairman. Wait,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman. Karen, help me. One quick question. 125 kids were referred but not seen.
Right.
What happened?
Well, that's an interesting question, Mr. Jackson. I knew somebody was going to ask that question when you saw that stuff up there on those slides. When people are referred to us by either Ms. Chisholm or a school, we'll call a mandate, a referral. Most of our other referrals, the majority of those show up because they're wanting the service, they need the service, and they recognize that. The mandated referrals, those who are mandated or directed to see us, don't always do that. Now, what is the consequence? And Ms. Chisholm and I have had many conversations about this in the past. What can we do? I don't know, because part of me says, okay, how would we see that other 125 if they did come? I don't have enough staff to do that. So part of them just kind of fall out of the formula, and we have more than we can do as it is. Now, what we do is we give feedback to the schools, and we give feedback to Ms. Chisholm about who does and does not come. Now, I do know that Ms. Chisholm has some consequences for the ones who show back up at a hearing who haven't participated in our services, and they don't really like to go to Ms. Chisholm with that, I don't think. But so we know that there's that kind of consequence. Oh, you did not go to where you were supposed to go. But in terms of really being able to really collect that extra number who just don't come, it's something we haven't been able to take on.
And I think that begs the answer to Mr. Manning's question about what needs to be done to sort of help scale up to reach a greater capacity. So that's why I asked you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Chair, I would just like to say that I was a witness to the program when I worked at Ridgeview High School, and I know the great things that you guys did with the kids, and you saved a lot of our students, so I really appreciate that. And I really want to say thank you to Danielle Allen, because I worked closely with her when I was at Ridgeview, so thank you for a job well done.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I asked for Karen to come tonight because I am one who's very impressed with the program. One of the principals recommended that my family go with my youngest grandson. And it was the most exciting experience, having lost two sons and only one son living who was a single parent with his two sons. You guys have done an awesome job with my family, because it's one of those things that a family cannot work through. Although I am a registered nurse, counsel a lot of other people, but the type of interventions that go on in your program get into the deep root of issues. And that's why I wanted you to come tonight, because I think that the board needs to look at several options, brainstorm on how to branch out. When people hear interventions, my oldest grandson thought, do I have to go to that? And then when he started going, we found out so much as a family. And I think more families, and I guess I'm saying this basically for those people who may be viewing this on TV, it's very good when you don't know what the root of your problems are. You think you know the root, but you don't know how to handle it. So I would like for us to look at some ways to expand this program. And as James said, or whoever said on the end, other schools. And also, I met James over at the thing you had for the Spartanburg people. And it came up, people are just ready to buy this program. They want to implement this program in their district. And I told James, I said, I think one time, didn't we sell something in technology or create something in technology? And so pardon me?
Software system for the
software system. So I was wondering if there's some type of way that we can modify our program, do whatever we need to do, and sell it rather than taking up all of your staff time explaining and entertaining and feeding people. Then we could get a patent on this, and that would help us to hire more people to serve more people in our district, because I think you guys do a phenomenal job, and your hours are convenient for working parents. It could be a program, at one of the schools you may be able to help those parents who work night shift and could be seen during the day. Say, for instance, if the children could take an hour and be referred for their lunch or whatever. But I think this is a very valuable program in our district. I think it's one of the only ones that's in the state. And that's why I encouraged Karen to apply to present in national. And that's why I wanted to let everyone know that they were accepted and they're going to go. And that grandson of mine went through the leadership program and turned out to be a leader. I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We had a stimulating night tonight, hadn't we? We're getting ready to do some more. Some more. And our next item on the agenda is our proposed policy for carrying pepper spray. And this is for information tonight. Mr. Carter.
Ladies and gentlemen, we provided you tonight with a proposed policy on arming our security officers with pepper spray. We need to work on the title a little bit. The attorneys were supposed to change it, and they didn't quite get it done. We also have their legal opinion that we provided several board meetings ago, and also the proposed procedures for the use of the pepper spray, and also for use of force, and also a form that anyone that had to discharge a pepper spray would have to fill out. Glad to answer any questions.
Well, questions for Mr. Carter. My only question is, what's your opinion, or Chuck, or whoever's been around for a while, in the last 5 to 6 years, of actual incidents where you thought our officers were in danger and would have possibly used this to protect themselves?
Well, we've had a few break-ins. I think in the last 4 or 5 years we've had one true physical confrontation. There have been a couple of times when our officers have come in one side of the building and some burglars have gone out the other side of the building. So it's very, very rare to have direct confrontation. Our security officer's job is to see and report, not to confront. So there's not a lot of direct confrontation. I think last year we had 3 incidents. We checked with some surrounding districts. I'm not sure all of them are completely truthful in the number of incidents, nor do they need to really share that, but I'll just say one neighboring district has had 6, or double what we had in a year. So there are incidents going on around, just not a lot of direct confrontation.
Other questions? I think this is a serious matter. This is something.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Jack, is there something in here, because I didn't see it, I may have missed it, where there's a written protocol that if it is ever used, that there is a very formal and thorough investigation on any instance where it's used?
That's really part of that form that they have to fill out. That would trigger an investigation. And once they discharge, if they ever have to do that, they would fill out that incident report, which was, I think, the very last tab in the report. And then that would, it shows you the list witnesses and all that, and that would be the trigger for an investigation.
I'd like to.
And I would go back and look in the procedures, but I believe we mentioned somewhere in there that we.
Yeah, I may have missed it, and if it isn't, I'd like
If it's not, we'll add it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Jack, I read this policy, and it went beyond my expectations. I was mainly talking at PM and night shift, but I like the way that you had the attorneys to go through it. There were a couple of things, and I didn't jot them down because I kind of skimmed through it the second time. But hopefully, my main purpose is so that our officers will feel secure. We didn't have the Sandy Hook. We never had that before. We never had the bombing in Kenya before at the mall. I just want to be proactive is why I asked to put this in place. Because to see these officers out there at night in a building alone, they don't have to be confrontational. It's just that they walking in through those buildings, inspecting the doors, and out come somebody. And as we read the paper, as we read the news, the internet, the papers, the news, more and more dangerous things are happening. And I just want to say that we did something in our district to protect our security people. So,
well, I'm very concerned about their security as well. My personal fear is some will feel empowered and go from reporting and leaving to confrontational. To the best of my knowledge, none of our break-ins have had weapons, but we don't know that for sure because we haven't caught them all. We caught most of them, but not all. So that's a personal concern of mine. The reason the policy covers all aspects is our day shift comes on early in the morning, and they are there for traffic control, and when they're there for traffic control, there are students around. Same thing with the afternoon shift. We have 2 shifts there. And, of course, our high schools have students in the buildings to all times of night. So there's no chance that we could absolutely guarantee they will never come in contact with students while they're carrying the pepper spray. Our intent is if we implement this, we're going to train the heck out of them and encourage them to continue to function like they are currently functioning, which, again, is observe and report and do not confront. And I realize that sometimes you can't, 30 years in the Army, I learned the first thing that happens is when the first bullet flies, the plans are out the window. So, we do the best we can, and
and I understand there was a fight among parents at one of the schools in the driveway. One of the schools I got a phone call.
I wish I could tell you that happens infrequently, but it doesn't.
I mean, ladies getting
usually
out,
in the car right
literally
along.
fighting out in the parking in front of the kids going to school was unbelievable. I can't even remember what school they told me it happened at. But now the officers know they don't stop the fights by spraying pepper spray on them. Let them fight. Okay?
God, I hope not. Although it would stop it.
I just couldn't believe that when I got that call.
They're supposed to get administrators and they're supposed to get resource officers if they're available to handle those kinds of situations. But Chuck and Eric end up going to schools to handle those kinds of things, and of course they've been in law enforcement for most of their lives, and a lot of our guys have military backgrounds and DJJ backgrounds and prison backgrounds, so they're not exactly rookies, but.
And I don't think we have anybody, hopefully we wouldn't have anybody that would be pepper spray happy. It's just a means for security in the event they're alone at night or whatever, and they needs to protect themselves or save their lives. So I just want to stress to them, I did not do this for them to go out there and be like the little lady was on TV in Florida that had a gun and held the man at gunpoint until the police got there. You saw that on TV last year? But I don't want them to be like that. I just want them to feel secure. Thanks.
Have you had an opportunity to ask any of your staff how they feel about it?
Eric and Chuck and I have all talked. We all have a level of reservation because of the confrontational piece. Chuck's probably a little stronger in favor of doing it than maybe Eric or I, but I mean, we're not in total disagreement. We're not in total agreement. I mean, we just all have our opinions. They're the two law enforcement guys with the most experience.
What about the actual people that are out there?
I have not talked to them personally. I can't say for Chuck or Eric, but we could certainly.
I would like to do a survey just to see, get some feedback, how they feel. Not just your immediate staff, because they're not the ones out there. I want to hear from those people, at the what am I trying to say?
On the ground.
On the ground, that's doing the work, not just those people who supervise.
Well, those people that supervise are armed, and they do go to the confrontations.
That's what I'm saying. They're armed. I want to hear from those people who are not armed. I'd like to hear their feedback.
Sure.
Actually, one of the night people did stop and thank me for considering it. So that was some positive feedback.
Well, I understand I'm not completely opposed. I'm just concerned.
And I'm concerned that they would use it inappropriately, but I'm also concerned that...
I have a Civil War print in my office of two cavalry officers fighting. One has a sword, one has a gun. Just sort of a message there. The guy with the sword brought a sword to a gunfight. So that's the kind of concern I have. I just don't want them to... I don't want them to get over it. That'll be part of the training. It'll be up to us if we decide to do this to make sure they're trained that they will not confront somebody when they don't have to.
That's why I don't carry my gun with me.
Any other
Mr. Chairman,
questions?
I have a question. One, Jack, I think it'd be more like if your picture had somebody with their fist in a gun, because that's what they have now,
right.
which is nothing, right? But the other is there any consideration for either additional cameras in the parking lots or in vehicle, to help protect sort of actions as they may go down?
We have tons of cameras in the buildings. We have high-resolution, low-light cameras outside, but we'd need thousands more to cover every inch of the parking lots. The buildings are where we have the confrontations. If they see somebody in the parking lot, those people pretty much leave. But I think our last count, we're over 2,100 cameras in the district. We've got great coverage inside. So the Northeast break-in, for instance, the two people that broke in wore hoodies so we couldn't see their face. We had the break-ins at Keels, and they looked at the camera and smiled. We eventually caught them. We have not caught the other two yet. The sheriff is really trying, and they're pursuing that. But the cameras help, but they're not the end-all solution. But, I mean, we got it posted everywhere. You've got video surveillance. It prevents a lot, because smart people will not go with their cameras, but there are people that are not that smart.
Thank you.
Jackie, we determined what our liability is as far as insuring this program.
Dr. Miley did some research, and I'll let him answer that question.
The SLED does not apparently consider our personnel law enforcement, but our insurance carrier considers if they carry pepper spray, they consider them law enforcement, and our premiums will go up.
So legally, they're not law enforcement. Is that what you're saying?
According to SLED, isn't that right, Jack?
SLED, because we've been down that road with Chuck and Eric, their title is not law enforcement. It's not even security. They are emergency preparedness. They are not considered law enforcement by SLED. Our security officers have a different title, but they're not involved with any law enforcement at all. They're physical security. They're supposed to check doors and observe. So we can make the argument that they're not law enforcement, but we have to work that out with the insurance carriers, because their definitions sometimes don't match up with reality.
If we do not come to an agreement, and what would be a guess?
The first quote was about $30,000 a year.
Mr. Chairman, what if a teacher carries pepper spray?
I'm sorry?
What if a teacher has pepper spray, or an administrator? Are we checking are they police officers?
Well, hopefully they're not, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of them are. But if we don't, I don't want to get into the legalese because I'm not an attorney, but if we have not endorsed it, the liability is more likely to them than to us. But to the best of my knowledge, I'm sure we've had plenty of teachers who had the opportunity to use it, and it hasn't happened. So.
But we don't have a policy against them bringing it. What if security just brought their own pepper spray?
I think that would put them at risk. If we're going to allow them to carry it, I think we need to.
Yeah, I understand. I was just asking what would happen if they did. I mean,
I think if they were to mace mace is out. You don't use mace anymore. If you were to pepper spray somebody and you were not authorized to have done that by the district, I think the personal liability for that person would be pretty significant, and possibly the district as well.
It would be the district and the person's personal liability. They go back after
by doing the policy. If we proceed with it, then the individuals are at least covered from a liability standpoint, pending the outcome of an investigation. I mean,
do we need a policy that prevents staff from bringing pepper spray on campus?
I would defer that to Attorney. I can certainly ask that question if we need to.
We'd have to search every person came in the district.
I'm just saying to protect the district. If there's an issue of personal district liability, if we have a policy against it, does that better protect us than if?
From personal experience, I know that there are folks that are out there trying to sell personal protection devices, especially to women. Because when I was at Fort Bliss, Texas, a guy came in and sold, and that time it was mace, to about 25 women, one of which was my wife. I wasn't real happy about it when I found out about it, but there are people out there that try to sell that. So let me call the attorneys and ask them for an opinion on whether we would need something that says individual staff, or even if it's legal to tell them they can't carry a personal protection device. I'll get a hold of the attorneys tomorrow.
And that's really another subject because we're doing security.
It's a good question.
Right now.
I just don't know if we have I don't know what our authority would go to there.
But this is a good point. We just need to find out. My biggest concern is I think it's much more likely from what you've told me of the history of this district that somebody will be confrontational and use it than somebody need it for personal protection.
That's the history right now, but I can't predict what's going to happen in the future.
And I just have to think about that before I could approve something like this.
We got some really great guys out there working for us.
We got
guys
great
and
guys,
girls at night.
but we don't know everybody. We don't know everybody who's working for us. And I think the likelihood of them being confrontational using it is much greater than them being confronted in life-threatening situations. From what you've told me, the history of what we've experienced over the last several years. So, okay, that's my opinion. Anything else? Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Thank you.
Last item tonight, which everybody's here for, I'm sorry. I should have been a little better on that one. Is Elementary 19 student assignment report.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Our 19th elementary school is under construction, in fact, nearly finished, and it will open to serve students next school year. So we're at the time where we really need to think about how we will assign students to that school. For the benefit of people in the audience who may not be familiar with this school, and for anybody who may be watching this on R2TV, I do want to say a few words about Elementary 19, and then Dr. McDaniel is attending a funeral and is unable to be here tonight, so Will Anderson is going to give everyone an update on the process and our findings about that. But Kelly Mill, Elementary 19 is located on Kelly Mill Road near the Ashland area of Lake Carolina. We purchased that property, and the school is planned to handle ongoing growth in the Lake Carolina area. Right now, we've been told that Lake Carolina has over 1,000 parcels of land still to be developed and projects over 7,000 units being built in the next several years. So not only has it been growing, we know that that will continue to be a growing area. This Elementary 19 is the third elementary school in this immediate area, and the one that we clearly need to plan for in terms of addressing continuing growth in the area. We have started to investigate student assignment options, and that's what Mr. Anderson will be telling you about.
Thank you, Dr. Ham. Thank you, board members, and I'm glad you are probably excited about student assignments, the last item on the agenda, so hopefully I can bring some joy to your night. I kid. Just want to give you guys a brief update on where we stand right now in the process, what we've been doing the past several months. Also want to talk a little bit about the feedback we've received over the past few months, and then kind of give you an outline of the pros and cons of what the different options that we have, and kind of show you where we're at and kind of get some direction. Just to go back, in spring and summer of 2013 is when we really, in earnest, started to do some preliminary work, started to do some research on the best options for Elementary 19 and for the Lake Carolina community. Go back a little bit, in 2012, myself and Dr. McDaniel got independent from parents about asking us, would we consider a different model, maybe a K through 2, 3 through 5 model. At the time, we said, that's a great suggestion, but we have all intentions of changing the attendance lines, and we're going to look into that and see what we find. So doing a lot more research, we discovered that it's pretty common throughout the United States, and actually in South Carolina with several districts that do this model, about 40 schools in South Carolina. So doing that research and looking into it, we thought, let's see what the board wants to talk about and see what the community likes. So what we did in July, we came to you guys and asked, hey, what do y'all think? Can we go to the community and just ask? And everyone was kind of just, let's find out more, see what they say. So we went to the community, and first thing we did is we had a meeting with the Lake Carolina PTO and SIC. And I'll talk about their feedback in a little bit, but that was our next step. From there, we then went and did a survey for the community. This was sent on the 29th of August. The survey was sent to all students who attend Lake Carolina Elementary School. It was sent to the families who choice into Lake Carolina, the family elementary, the children who attend who are in the Lake Carolina Elementary Zone, the students who live in the Ashland neighborhood. That's basically in the backyard of Elementary 19, so we wanted to get their feedback, and the students who live in the current Lake Carolina Elementary Zone but attend a different school, attend a different school through choice. And as you all know, if they ever want to come back to their zone school, they always can. So we wanted to make sure we got their feedback as well. We then, last Monday, went and surveyed and met with the faculty and staff from Lake Carolina Elementary School. Had a great meeting. I'll talk a little bit about those results in a second. And then this past week, we just kind of informally at different times in small groups met with you guys. And this is now, as a collective group, a chance to hear those results and see this as one body. And here we are today, at the 24th. So our first feedback results is the SIC PTO. One of the big things for them was a lot of logistical questions, a lot of many good comments, lots of questions, but they really overwhelmingly support for us changing the grade configuration. They were wholeheartedly for us going that way. They thought it would be detrimental to the community to split the community. But we still thought, we need to survey more people. We can't just go off of that small body, which they are representative of the school, but we wanted to speak to more people. So from there, we went to the survey results. We were kind of hoping, real quick, we had a 48% response rate on the survey, which many of you may or may not know, that is a great response rate. Typically in a survey like this is 15 to 20%. 48%, we were really happy. The one thing we were not too happy about is we were hoping to get a little direction from here. It would be that 70% either change the attendance lines or 70% change the grade configuration. As you can see, it was about 50-50. We had 52% of the respondents say change the grade configuration, while 48% said change the attendance lines. Of those, to break it down a little further, 55% of the Lake Carolina residents who actually lived in Lake Carolina preferred changing the grade configuration, while 57% of those people who actually choice into Lake Carolina that don't live in the community, they were saying they would want to change the attendance lines. Just a couple of the questions that we had, and it was once again about 50-50. We asked some different questions in the survey. Example is 55% think extra transition is a big deal. Most of them were right down the middle. The one outlier was a 66% think that students should ride the same bus. Now, we're going to do this regardless of which way we go. If we go the K through 5 route, we're going to pick up the same children at the same household. If we go the other route, we'll pick up the same children, drop the youngest child off first, and then drop the other child. So that's really not going to change regardless of what happens. And then we also had some open-ended comments on the survey, and it really came into three different areas. There was those people who were really against us changing the grade configuration. They did not want us to change the grades. We had those who were really, really against us changing the attendance lines. They did not want us to change the attendance lines. And then the others fell pretty much right in the middle. They could go either way, but they just had some really logistical questions. Some of those comments that we came, they centered around a walking trail or bike path. As you may or may not know, Lake Carolina is probably elementary is the most walked or biked school in our district. There's a huge commitment to walking and biking to that school, and they really felt that's a big need for them to continue to do that to elementary 19, really regardless of what we do. Transportation issue with adding traffic, the drop-off, we heard different things with transportation, how we're going to get to the school. One of the things that came out from some was keeping the community feel. They really embraced, even though there's lots of many different neighborhoods, they all feel like they're the same community, and they wanted to keep that community feel. The transition, some comments about creating an extra transition at the schools. And then the comments that we saw was splitting between two schools, a first grader at one school and a third grader at another school. And we saw some trends on that data as well. So from there, we then decided, let's go, like I mentioned, we went to the faculty and staff survey and had a meeting. This was a little different from that survey, but once again, close to 50%. We had 58% of the teachers and faculty wanted to keep the K through 5 and change the attendance lines, while 42% wanted to change the grade configuration. They were, a different audience than the public, so we asked them different questions and wanted to get their perspective different from the families. We also went to their faculty meeting, and in their faculty meeting, it was mostly logistical questions. Mostly, what's going to happen to me personally, and we can understand that, can relate to that, and what's going to happen in terms of what teachers go where. But pretty much in the meeting, though, the comments were split exactly 50-50 in terms of favoring one way or the other. So we're still 50-50. So what we wanted to share with you is some of the pros and cons to the K through 5 option related specifically to Richland 2. A lot of the research out there and all over the country is, no matter which way you go, it all depends on the administration, the principal, the teachers in the school, and the community embracing it. So whichever we go, academically, it doesn't really matter as long as those things are in place, and that's going to be, obviously, in our two schools are going to be in place. But some of the two big pros of changing the grade configuration that I see will be, one, to delay the need to redraw the attendance lines, and the second one was the endorsement from the SIC and PTO. Those are the two big pros for changing the grade configuration. You can see also the developmental focus, the more teachers at grade levels for collaboration purposes, and it keeps the current neighborhoods together. Some of the cons for changing the grade configuration would be those walker-biker issues, kids having to, younger kids walking to another school with a sibling going to another school, splitting the family between two schools. Another big one is the ongoing coordination. We've never done this in Richland 2, and this would be something new and unique. And we'd have that coordination between the K through 2 school and the 3 through 5 school, and that just wouldn't be a one-time deal. This would be an ongoing. So that time and the amount of time and different things it takes to do that would be an issue, but something we logistically work out. And then the expectations and change. That change is hard no matter what. And so what's the expectations of this new school? The pros and cons to redrawing the attendance lines. Some of the pros, of course, is keeping siblings in the same school. This is consistent with all of our other elementary schools in Richland 2, and it minimizes the transitions for the students. And some of the cons is similar to the pros of the other one. Is splitting the neighborhoods. We'd have to redraw the attendance lines sooner, and it goes against the SIC and PTO endorsement. With that, that was a quick, brief update on the process, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, we'll open up for questions, and then we're going to get a follow-up on what's next, right?
Well, what's next is your board meeting.
We'll go to questions. We'll go to questions. Okay. All right. Questions from the board members.
Mr. Chairman, well, I'd like to see the feedback, and I think I may have mentioned this before, I'd like to see the feedback opportunity expanded. We basically mentioned of the parents and families that might be affected. We basically mentioned parents and families in Lake Carolina who choice or zone there. I'd like to see it expanded to those families also who may be transferred there as a result of the change, i.e. they may now be currently at Round Top or Bridge Creek?
Well, we did ask those in the Ashland neighborhood who currently go to Round Top or go somewhere else. If at this time we don't really know what the lines will look like if we change the lines, but we would anticipate just trying to change the current attendance lines of Lake Carolina Elementary and then just adding that Ashland portion. We feel confident we would be able to just do that and not affect others, but we're happy to survey those people.
And with all those groups, you only got 280 people to respond?
We sent, we did not send to fifth graders because they will not be at the school next year. But if they had siblings, of course, so we sent through K through fourth grade, and we sent, it was over 600 emails. We took out the duplicate kids, and we got 280 responses out of that. Yes, sir.
If we could expand the pool, I think it would be helpful.
Okay.
The more feedback early than later would be better. I certainly know that from the past experiences of particularly dealing with affected neighborhoods. The other question, how realistic, and you may not be able to answer this may be a Sumalek question or Jack Carter question, how realistic is the staggering starting times?
Mr. Carter said that wouldn't be a problem. I'm happy to defer to him.
Well, as you know, the schools are very close. So what we've looked at is a 10-minute stagger, which is easily doable. From a bus transportation standpoint, maybe a little more challenge to a parent. We may have to look at a little longer if they're dropping at two different schools. But from a bus transportation, 10 minutes is plenty. And it would be on the other end. We've got enough time in the afternoon. Elementaries are second routes in the morning and second routes in the afternoon. But a 10-minute window in there, we could still make work. I think we only have 2 buses that go into Lake Carolina right now. This would likely increase the number of buses because, as an example, if you live within a mile and a half of the school right now, you don't get bus transportation. If you are now going to be a elementary 19 third grader and live within a mile and a half of elementary 19, you're well within a mile and a half of Lake Carolina, so you will now get transportation for your first grade sibling who would be now dropped at Lake Carolina. It would become a bus stop.
Last question, Chairman. Jack, last question. The developers who are involved in Lake Carolina, have they been a part of any conversation or discussion specifically as it relates, don't walk off, Jack, specifically as it relates to building bike paths, walking paths specifically, the issue that is up there as a major concern as a deterrent?
We've been in conversation with them. I've actually was in conversation with them today, and there's actually been some community members, some parents at Lake Carolina in their children go to school there have been in conversation with Lake Carolina Development. We're scheduling a meeting with them next week. We're partnering together to figure out the best solution. So I would say we've been doing stuff, but also the community is really involved in that, and they're helping push that too. But we've had some other discussions about sidewalks and walking trails.
We've gone out and physically surveyed the ground to see where sidewalks could run. And as you know, the county requires sidewalks immediately in front of your property. We call them sometimes the sidewalks to nowhere because they just go from end of the property to end of the property. But we think we found a path, and that's what we're going to meet, I think, next week with Lake Carolina to see if we can adjust that path. I know how parents feel. The further off the road they are, the better. We could build a sidewalk inside the DOT right away. But I think that'd be too close to Kelly Mill. That's a high traffic area. If we end up there, we're going to put a fence along there to keep kids from darting out into the road. But we think we found a safe way to get it from the school to where it already connects to Ashland sidewalks and Lake Carolina sidewalks.
Any financial commitment by the developers there to help bear that cost?
We haven't gotten there yet.
Well, and I will tell you, we had a meeting last week with Julianne Dixon, and she is going after some, what's the word I'm looking for? Grants, thank you. Yeah, I'm old, I can't remember. Some grant money for sidewalks throughout the district, and that's one area we identified as a need area. And we would like to do that even if we don't do the schools that way, just because it's such a walk-friendly area. So there's a possibility of some grant money, and we will certainly ask the developer to participate The houses on that side, we believe, are primarily Essex homes. The houses on the other side of the campus, away from Lake Carolina Elementary, are Mungo homes. We actually met with the Mungo folks today. They wouldn't be affected by it, so it would be a conversation we'd have with Essex homes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good questions.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Two things. You said that you could do the transportation within a 10-minute difference as far as the buses, but I would think it would take longer than 10 minutes for the car riders. For a parent to go from one school to the other school would take longer, don't you think, than 10 minutes?
And that's why I said we may have to look at a little longer stagger there. The drops in the morning move pretty quickly. Parents tend to be in line an hour ahead of time for pickup in the afternoon, so we'd have to look at how that would impact. It would probably mean some kids would be held a little longer at the school when parents, let's say they start off at the 3-5 school and then have to go to Lake Carolina K2. So the school would have to end up holding kids a little longer to make up for that.
And we plan on, this is still really, really early, but we plan on working with the two principals at the school, Mr. Carter, his staff, the Lake Carolina SIC and PTO, to really get together and work through a lot of these logistical things. But we have been in discussions already, like he said.
Some of the logistical things I'd like to have answers to before I vote on it.
We plan on doing that.
Before the vote comes up. And the other thing I'd like to ask is, what's the feasibility of doing a district-wide survey? And the reason I'm asking this, what if there are young parents who are anticipating building in the Lake Carolina area? I think we need to open it up so everybody, I'd like to hear feedback from not just those people who are currently living there, but those people who may be planning on moving there. So I think before we just survey just that neighborhood, or those two neighborhoods, I think we need to survey the entire district.
Well, Ms. Anderson, every time we rezone you, we're going to do
No, I'm just at.
But
this
it's
is
the same thing.
No. This is a total different rezoning than we've ever done it before. You are changing the configuration of classrooms, K through 2 at one school and 3 through 5 at another school. Our rezoning has been just drawing lines. We're no longer drawing lines with this. We're changing children.
I realize that, and I just feel you may want.
I mean, it's just a question. I asked,
okay,
what was the feasibility? I'm not saying
for the whole district.
We have to do it.
For the whole district?
That's what I'm asking.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
I'm just asking because you have people who anticipate. How many homes did you say they were planning on putting out there?
7,000 units.
7,000 units makes a big difference, in my opinion.
We can do that. We're happy to do that. Whatever the direction the board would like to do, we're happy to survey.
That's just my feedback. Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman, I have a concern that if we do the whole district, it may be confusing the parents. If I get a survey about Lake Carolina Elementary School and Elementary 19, in my mind, does that mean I have an opportunity to send my child to that school?
No, I wouldn't phrase it that way, James. I know what you're asking. I'm just, as a devil's advocate, I just wonder if it won't create potentially more confusion than help. And it could if you phrase it that way.
It can, and it could not give. It could change the way the results have been thus far. But just because people may have different opinions on since they don't actually physically live there now. But we're happy to do whatever in the direction of the board.
Okay. Any questions about the K-5? My comment is this, that we have had logistical problems at every school, especially when school starts, but as new schools start up. We've come through them very, very well, in those situations. I remember when nobody wanted to turn left on Rame Road to go to Bookman Road Elementary School. And I mean, these things we deal with, but what we're trying to deal with is what's best for these students. I've been through lots of rezonings. I hate them more. That's the worst thing we do. As a board member. So, and to try something new, I think sometimes we're not. it's not that we're making guinea pigs of people. It's just that there are some legitimate reasons to do split the school up into those educational reasons to do that. So, I mean, let's, I just hope everybody will be fair and open-minded about this, what we're ready to do. And I know if we rezone that neighborhood, they won't be really nice to us. I'll look comments from others.
I feel like y'all have done a good job with your proposal and gotten pretty good community input. So I'm interested in your timetable. I'm not sure that I understand what that is.
Well, we hope to get this done as soon as possible. We know that we don't want to drag it out too long, but we know we don't want to make you guys a quick decision. We want to try to find that sweet spot. But, at this time, we'd like to probably come back to you at your October 8th board meeting, possibly either with a recommendation or proposal, or we'd like to come at the 8th and let you guys make a decision on either a grade configuration or attendance lines, and then at a future meeting we would then come back with a proposal on the attendance lines, which way we go, or a more logistical questions and concerns or proposal. So that's our next steps. As a reminder, choice comes up in January, so we'd love to have this done before then, but we can push it out as long as it needs to be, but it'd be nice to have that all done before the choice process so parents can have the opportunity to be informed of their schools and make a good decision where they need to go.
Mr. Chairman, well, I would hope that you would expand the survey, maybe not necessarily district-wide, but certainly expand it wider than and broader than we have done so far before we come back to the board with results and get feedback from a little bit larger pool than 280 people.
I'd like to suggest possibly a possible strategy for doing that, since we do have a website, that we could post the information about the two options on the website and invite public comment. Anybody in the district could see that, and that might avoid the confusion of somebody thinking, I'm getting this email because it's going to affect me. Would that be a possible solution?
I think it would be. I think it would be. Just make sure it's clear at the front of the survey that it is in fact specifically for that school, and persons that are completing the survey may or may not be affected by the rezoning of that school, so they understand that, and then be able to ask a question that would help us to disaggregate the data, so we would be able to see those that are not going to be affected by the rezoning, how they voice their views versus those living in the community, how they voice theirs. I wouldn't want the water muddied, so we wouldn't know who's whose.
Sure, great feedback. We can definitely make that clear and add that. Yes, sir.
I'll agree with Mr. Jackson on that.
So you want to run that for the next 10 days to 2 weeks between now and the next?
And so we won't be able to have it on October 8th board meeting. We don't need to rush. We have until January to have when the choice open up. So we have 2.5 months, October, November, and half of December. So let's not rush it.
I'm not sure exactly your board meetings, but I'm not sure how many you have left. But you guys know.
I know we have October, November, and one in December.
Yes.
About the sidewalks.
Jack.
We are planning to put in some sidewalks. Is that correct?
You're talking about, there are, in Lake Carolina, there are plenty of sidewalks.
No,
Inside
I'm
Ashland, there are plenty of sidewalks.
Elementary 19.
Yes. We are looking for a way to connect from the sidewalk the county requires us to put in front of the school, down along Kelly Mill, at some point along Kelly Mill, back to Bud Keith and down Keith, and then down Bud Keith to where it ties into existing Ashland or Lake Carolina sidewalk. There is an existing sidewalk today that comes out of Lake Carolina and crosses over Bud Keith over to Ashland, and they match up right at the Ashland entrance that's off of Bud Keith. And there are sidewalks. The developer has put sidewalks inside Ashland. There are a couple of places where they're disconnected, and we're going to have to work with them.
So you're looking for some connectivity between Lake Carolina and Ashland, is that correct?
We're looking for connectivity between the front of 19 and Lake Carolina.
Oh,
there's already connectivity.
Two schools.
There's already connectivity internal to Ashland and Lake Carolina.
Okay.
We're also exploring options and working with a developer because they own that property of maybe a trail or a different way instead of going that way. We can, of course, like Mr. Carter said, put the sidewalks, which we would do, but if there's an easier way for the children to get there, that's what we ideally like to do.
Well, my experience of working with the county, you'd be waiting a long time for grants, so you best work with the developers.
Right, exactly, I agree.
And that would be the best opportunity.
When we meet with them, we'll certainly ask them for money. Based on our conversations today with another developer, they weren't really forthcoming with any money, so, but we'll work. And if we have to, we'll fund it ourselves.
Is Kelly Mills a state road, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Kelly Mills. So possibly Central Midlands Council of Governments might be opportunity there.
We do know there is grant money for safe routes to schools, which includes sidewalks, and that's the grant that Ms. Dixon is working on. So there is money out there. We've identified 3 primary areas where we think we need sidewalks, where we have kids walking and there aren't sidewalks. So we'll look for all sources of money. We'll even get Arlene to write our own grants. So.
Other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item is for our October 8th board meeting. Those agenda items, Dr. Ham.
The agenda items include a student focus report, approval of the proposed policy about pepper spray, a report on 3rd grade students reading on grade level, a report on improving academic achievement. This time in that series we'll focus on the Common Core and leadership, and a report on elementary school 19 student assignment. So an update on that.
As you see that we've listed, and I think this was a good idea, calendars for the future. So if you have a suggestion about a time and a place you want something inserted, you can email us. You could, tonight you can tell us, but that would be a good place to start, okay? So we'll try to keep a future agenda item calendar before you, all right? That was Dr. Ham's idea, I think. Appreciate it. Anything else? Any other items? Okay. Second participation at this time would take, you didn't have to sign up, but I'll give you a couple of minutes if anybody would like to address the board at this time. Raise your hand. Seeing no hands, we'll move on.
There's 2.
Okay, you need to come up here, state your name, your neighborhood or address, however you like to identify your.
My name is Catherine Dunbar. I'm in the Summerlin neighborhood in Lake Carolina, and I would just suggest with the survey that we open it up to the homeowners, because there's a lot of discussions in my neighborhood with people who don't have children but who own the homes and are looking at selling them, and to get their feedback as to which way they'd like to see it go, because it's going to affect a lot of properties. A lot of people buy into the neighborhood for the school.
Thank you. Okay. That's what the website will do. I don't know how they're going to know this on the website somehow, but it would be available to any and all residents.
Saw a second hand back there.
Okay, come on up front, please. You're going to be on TV, so we want to get you up here.
Hi, I'm Xavier Smith. I'm a local agent, but I also live in Lake Carolina, and my daughter attends the school. I'm kind of concerned about opening up to just the entire district to find out the feedback, because as a stakeholder inside the community, I feel like we're the ones that are really affected. I didn't have a lot of clients who buy in the neighborhood because of the school. There are some people who are looking to come into the district but may not even live in the district currently. So I'm very concerned when you say you're going to open up to the general, whoever wants to vote on this, because they don't really they're not affected by what you decide. But my opinion is, the splitting the schools, that probably would be the best case from what I've been hearing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Any others? I must admit the public participation night's been really good. I don't think it's been cordial, and I really enjoyed hearing your comments. And I thank you, everyone who's spoken for that. Okay, board and superintendent comments. I'm going to start from my right and go down. Ms. Anderson.
To the principal and staff, your school looks great. Good to be here. Congratulations to all the teachers who received their Teacher of the Year, and to our District Teacher of the Year, and to all the presentations that was brought to us tonight. And just hope that the enthusiasm that's being shown so far during the school year will continue, and thank you for all your hard work. Thank you, as Dr. Fleming stated, our public participation was very cordial in particularly discussing a rezoning. So I thank you all for that. Thank you.
Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a great idea, Tom, the whole innovation incubator approach. I think it'll be a great thing. I want to reiterate, I think, the importance of having a formal evaluation in place so that we can ensure that it's achieving goals that have been identified. I'm real happy that STEMS is up and running here at Summit. I'm excited about that. I think it's going to help a lot more kids get excited about science, engineering, technology, and math, and so I'm really appreciative of that. I want to thank the staff for the CDC report tonight, and I hope we'll look at the Head Start program population and who become our first graders sometime in the future, and explore reaching out to those teachers through professional development, as we mentioned some of the ones on the screen tonight with some of the other churches. I remain concerned about the academic gap that exists between the not met performance of those kids at Spears Creek versus those at Clemson Road, CDC. It continues to concern me, and I hope it does you as well, Mr. Foster. I know that Ms. Sabina Taylor and Ms. Brady had to leave, but please share my concerns with them about looking specifically at the gap, even though we're doing really well overall, the gap between students who at those two locations remains as wide as it's ever been, and I'd like to make sure we do everything in our power to address it. As it relates to the rezoning piece, I certainly hope that the realtors and developers will be honest and will have some serious conversations and discussions with potential families and not sell people a bag of goods about schools that they can't get into just to sell them a home. That's the most frustrating part. I feel the pain of those parents and families who live in Lake Carolina, but I certainly hope they will join forces with us as we talk to those developers about those 7,000 families that are yet to come. And there's not one school in our district, not two, not three, not four elementary schools that will be able to accommodate the anticipated growth that's being brought into that one community alone. And that's a problem that's not going to be solved by this school board alone, but it's going to be solved by school board members and developers and builders and realtors who are very candid and very honest with people about what the realistic expectation is of going to a community school in a neighborhood that is already overpopulated, for a school that's already overpopulated before the next home is built. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'll go with Mr. Manning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I mentioned at the last meeting, every meeting up until the bond referendum for Richland County Library on November the 5th, I'm going to make mention of it. I know Sabina Massa-Taylor has always been a huge advocate of child as an author and child as a reader. My daughter went through the program, and I think the Richland County Library is a key component to that. And we see that they are mentioned as a partner with the district. Again, that's James Manning's view, not the district's view, but I would like for folks to go out and take a look at the referendum and what that brings and be educated on that issue. I was impressed with Teacher of the Year with the number of male teachers, particularly in the middle and lower grades. And I know for those of us who are educators, it's always been a big issue of males in our classrooms. And to see that number begin to increase for those who are recognized as not only being teachers but excellent teachers in our schools is impressive. And in every instance, I've seen that they make a big difference in our schools. And so I thought that was impressive, and hope to see that trend continue as we go forward. And the other component that I wanted to put out there is that, as you know, I have been a huge advocate of foreign language in our schools. I see that our early childhood programs have some small component of some foreign language in there. Again, I think we as a district need to look at foreign language again as a key 21st century skill, and I will continue to advocate for us to look at that and find ways to, through innovation, as I think I read somewhere on a website for another district, they call it frugal innovation, ways to innovate without a lot of money. So continue to put in plugs for that. Thank you.
Monica.
I would like to say congratulations to all the teachers of the year. And also, I really enjoyed the presentations tonight from the early childhood program as well as interventions. Also, I'd like to say congratulations to Mrs. Mack at Ridgeview High School. I had the opportunity to go out there to their summer reading program, and it was awesome to see the teachers excited and the students engaged. So well done, Ms. Mack, on that. And also, while we're mentioning Ridgeview High School, it just brought back memories because I'm a former employee of Ridgeview High School with the heat in the hallways. It was extremely hot, so I asked Mr. Chair that we later on the agenda add that about just trying to see what we can do to get some air conditioning units in the hallways of Ridgeview High School. And also I'd like to say thank you to the Summit Parkway staff for hosting this meeting tonight.
Ms. Brill.
Thanks, Mr. Barbone, for your hospitality. I really enjoyed your videos. I did not know you're into production, wherever you are. It was really great. And also wanted to congratulate the National Merit semifinalists. I think we had 11 students from Spring Valley, Ridgeview, and R&E. Extremely proud of those students and hope they make it all the way. Proud of the Teachers of the Year, and as James pointed out, I think it's the first time I've noticed that the Teacher of the Year is a male. So I think that's fantastic. And James was a male teacher. So that's why you noticed. Thank you for pointing that out. And I think we had a lot of great reports tonight. The Innovation Incubator, I think that's an exciting concept. And look forward to seeing some great ideas come out of that. And certainly early childhood development. Debbie and I visited there, the Clemson Road, on opening day, and she didn't have any kids yet, but she was getting ready. And it was really exciting. And also, Family Intervention Services, can't say enough about the work that you do. And we're just so grateful to have you. Thank you. And thank you for a good meeting, Mr. Chair.
Long, I'm sorry. Dr. Ham.
I want to thank Summit Parkway for hosting us, congratulate the Teachers of the Year, and thank you for recognizing them at a meeting. Clearly, they are the essential piece. Our teachers are the essential piece in our schools, so it's nice to be able to honor them that way. I'm excited to report that one of our athletes will be on the national playing field in a few months. Christian Miller from Spring Valley was invited to play in the 2014 Under Armour All-American High School football game, which showcases the best high school seniors in the country. That'll take place on January the 2nd and be televised on ESPN. Blythewood High School senior Markel Batts was selected to be the United States Army All-American Band in that band. Thousands of students apply for the ensemble every year, and only 2 students were selected from South Carolina, and he was one of them. Hundreds of our employees and students have signed up to participate in the Walk for Life on October 5th. Of course, you're all welcome to participate with us. This year we're really excited to be partnering with Richland One on that, and a lot of us have been touched by breast cancer in one way or another, so it's a really important event for us. And for another good cause, I'll just mention that we're about to kick off our United Way campaign in the next couple of weeks, so there's a lot going on in the district.
There's a lot of opportunities, right, Dr. Ham? And Andrew, I thank you for this, for having us tonight. This school has been here a long time, served a lot of people, had a lot of graduates, and we just feel like that it's just right here in the middle of it. And you may not have, but most of us have been around a while, seen it change. I remember when it was first built, and what a difference it is now. And when there was portable cities out here, and it's so nice to have people in the building attending your school. I don't have anything else. Is there anything from any other board member before we adjourn? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second by Mr. Manning. And we'll vote. Thank you very much.